Welcome to part 6 of Competency 14. In this video, we will work with hyperbolas. Before we begin, make note of the properties of hyperbolas. And once again, you may want to stop the video and take a screenshot so you see each of these items as we're working through questions. And it's just nice maybe if you could find a printout somewhere and print it out. That'd be great. So you have a chance to really look at it, use it, memorize it. Number 1, what is the equation for the hyperbola for which the center is located at 0, 0? The horizontal transverse axis length is 18 and the conjugate axis length is 8. Okay, what does this tell me? This horizontal transverse tells me that's what my foci and my vertices are on. So this tells me I have a vertex going here, and it tells me I have a vertex going here, and my center is here, and that will be 0, 0. And this is my conjugate. Again, if I could draw it, it'd be great. That's my conjugate, and I know that I have 4 here, 4 here. And I know that I have 9 here and 9 here. So I know that oops, if I could make everything look the way it's supposed to, and this is a 9. So A equals 9, B equals 4. Okay, and this is on your literally on your x-axis. So that tells me that I need to associate x squared over my 9 times 9. Okay, so A works. You would think that B might be an option, but this plus right here tells me that's an ellipse, so B's out. That means D is not going to work. And I know C is not an option because I need 9 times 9 is 81 to associate with my x squared. So that option is out. So A is my only option. Okay, so let's look at number 2. Number 2 says, what is the equation for a hyperbola for which the center is located at -1, 2? One vertex is located at -1, 6, and the distance between the center and either focus is 7. Okay, so the first thing I need to point out is that the minute we saw that the center is not at 0, 0, that tells me that option A is out and option B is not a possibility. Okay, and then I know that because I have -1 here and -1 here, they're the same, that my line of transverse, that my transverse must be on. Okay, that's my major axis. Okay, it must be on x equals -1. So my center is right here at -1 and 2. And then here I go up, and I know that that will be -1 and 6. So the distance from here to here is 4. This tells me that we need to associate. Okay, let's go with my vertex. I know that I'm going to, okay, and I also have 4 here. And I know that this, I will open up and down and associate along a vertical, which associates with y squared, a shift of y squared. Okay, well, the only option that does that is D. Okay, so I need to associate with my y minus 2. There's my y minus 2. Okay, so let's put this in the calculator, verify what I have. Okay, like C won't work because we can't associate x shifting 2 because we have x at -1. Okay, so let's go to the apps and we're at number 4, and then we say number 3, and we need to go down to 2. And what do we put in? Well, our A is 4. But we don't really know what B is. They have B being 7, but that is not true in this case because for both of these, it says B is 33. However, there is not an even square that would equal like 5 times 5 is 25 and 6 times 6 is 36. What we need to do is go ahead and just put in second under the square root, second square root, and then 33 and close it. And now we look over and we see that our H is -1, and then we enter, and K is 2, and now we enter and graph. And that looks like what our graph should look like. Now, you may still be asking, well, what about that 33? Okay, how we find that out is they told us. They gave us the hint. See this where they said the distance, okay, from one focus to the other? Okay, this is what they're telling us. They're saying, well, if you remember in our properties, we had, here, I'll write it up here, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Well, that isn't the Pythagorean theorem in this sense, okay? This is what we have. We should have 4 squared right here plus the b squared, okay? Because we really didn't have it given to us. It's in our answers, so we need to verify it. But they did tell us the focus, and that equals, that's our C. They gave us C. So 7 times 7 is 49. Well, this means that B squared, 4 times 4 is 16, right? So that tells me that B squared does equal 33. And B would have to equal the square root of 33. So we have verified our 33, and we have a good graph on our calculator that also verifies our picture. And you can sit and count all of those on the axis, each unit up and down if you wish. Okay, now let's look at number 3. If the equation of a parabola is, and here's our equation of our parabola, what are the coordinates of the foci? Okay, well, that's not too bad. Okay, there's one thing that we need to do is we need to find our C, right? So that is 16 plus 49 equals C squared. Well, let's see here. That is going to equal 65. So C equals the square root of 65. Okay. Well, we know that. Well, let's put that in our calculator before we get too crazy. And I'm going to back out. Let's do the math. Let's see what that is. Oh, and I forgot one very important thing. Let me erase right here. When we take the square root of something, we need to always take into account plus or minus. In some cases, it doesn't apply. In the case of parabolas, it definitely applies, okay? So let's go ahead and back out. And let's go second square root 65 and push enter. So we have plus or minus just about 8.06. Let's go with just 2. We could do 2, 3, but let's do 2, 3. Okay. So now we know what the center is already. Oh, actually, we do know what the center is. We know that y equals -6, and we know that x equals 0. So now we have a center at 0 and -6. And because we know the center, okay, we know that our major axis is 4, okay? So, all right. So what do we have a center, so we go from -6, we go up 4, and that gives us 0 minus 2. And remember, this is 0 minus 6. And then we have plus and minus. So we go below and, okay, oh my goodness, that would have been out of here. That should have been in parentheses. Okay, that's one vertex. So we're going up like this, and we're going down like this. So that is 0 minus 10. Okay, so what are we really doing? We're taking our vertices along our y-axis, and we're saying plus or minus 8.0623. Okay, so obviously our x value has to be 0. Well, that already tells me this won't work, this won't work, this won't work, this won't work. So B and C are out, okay? Now, A and D have the zeros correct. Their x equals 0 is correct. But we needed to say plus or minus, right? To get our y values to get the correct vertices. Well, I don't mean vertices, I mean foci, right? We're looking for our foci, the correct ones. Well, what do we need to do? We'll just put in the calculator real quick. -2, okay? And we need to go up. So let's add 8.0623. What do we get? Oh, well, that's great. Look, we get roughly the correct answer for A right here. Okay, that's an option. Oh, but they have it down here on D too. Okay, fine. Well, let's go with the -10. -10. Now we need to subtract because we added to the other one. We went up. Now we're going down. We're going down below because of how it opens up. Right? It opens downward. So we need to say -8.0623. Let's see what we get. Yep, -18. So A is the option. So for some reason, I'm not quite sure how they got the -14 I have. Oh, I see what they did. They used the center instead of a vertices. Well, that's a logical mistake. Okay. All right. So let's go on to number 4. Oh, you know what? Before we go on, we need to put that in a calculator just in case. So let's go 4 and 3, and we're still going with 2. It doesn't hurt to check. So A is 4. Okay. And our B value is 7. Okay. And our H is 0. And our K is -6. Make sure I'm looking at this correctly. Okay, then let's graph. Perfect. Of course, once again, the calculator does a much better job than my graphing and penciling in. At least I got there. Okay, now we can move on. Number 4, if the equation of a hyperbola is, as stated, what are the equations of the asymptote? Okay, we can just look at what they've given us. And first, we know that we should have the precise form y plus 1 and the exact form x minus 5. That should appear. And we know that a equals 9 and b equals 8. And because of the properties, the major axis or transverse is along the x-axis. This means we should have b over a. So we should have plus or minus 8 over 9. Then put our x times our x minus the 5. And in front of that, we should have y plus 1. Okay? Well, what is that? That is precisely option B. Okay? All right. Now let's go to number 5. Okay? The equation of an asymptote of the asymptotes of a hyperbola are y equals plus or minus 1/3 x. If the endpoints of the transverse axis are 0, 1, and 0, -1, what is the equation of the hyperbola? Okay, they gave us several great hints here. One of the big ones, or the first big one, is this is our major axis. Okay, now also I see that we have a center of 0, 0 because y equals 0, x equals 0. Okay, that is why this equation is so simple. Okay, compared to number 4. Okay, now I know that the transverse, it will be on the x-axis. Okay, so let's draw that. I know that we have x equal to 0, which implies, I mean, not the x-axis, y-axis with x equals 0. Excuse me. So I know that's the axis, and I know here's the center at 0, 0 at the origin. Now, what else do I know? Okay. All right. I'm going to put here. I know that we have one endpoint at 0, 1, and I have another endpoint at 0, -1. Okay. And since we need to associate our axis, our A, well, our A is going to be along our major axis. I know that A is equal to 1 because we have a situation of plus or minus 1 from the origin. Okay, so all of this tells me we should have y squared over 1. Well, do we have that in an option? Yes. Well, this one's x squared. That goes away. C goes away. And option B has 2 reasons that it's not, it doesn't satisfy, rather. This plus implies an ellipse, and we do not have 1 squared as our A. So our option is D. Okay. Now, number 6. If the equation of a hyperbola is, as stated, very close to what we use, but just a little different, okay? All right. Then what are the equations of the asymptote? All right. Properties. What are our major properties? Okay. First, we know that our equation needs to be written precisely as we see our x and y. And since we are associating with the major axis of the y, okay, let me write this first. A equals 5, B equals 4, Okay, let's go over here to our A, B, C, D. Well, C is written incorrectly. D is written incorrectly. Okay, and we have Y plus 5. Well, B is the best option. And we have X minus 1. That's correct. I'm going to go ahead and mark this out, but we need to check this. Is this plus or minus correct? Well, if you look at your properties, we know, okay, look at your properties and we know we need to associate the major axis is the Y, okay, and we need A over B. So that is correct. That gives us 5 over 4. So that verifies that B is our option. Okay, this is the last question in this particular video. Once again, if you like what we're doing, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you have, give us a like, give us a share, and happy testing.